I always believed my wife, Amanda, was my soulmate. We had built a life together, romantic weekend getaways, shared ambitions, and countless late-night talk. She had been my best friend, my partner, my everything. But looking back, I wondered if I had been blind or simply a fool. The first sign came subtly. Amanda, once eager to greet me at the door after work, started becoming distant. Conversations became shorter, her laughter less genuine. Excuses piled up, overtime at work, last-minute plans with friends, spontaneous gym sessions. At first, I brushed off my concerns, chalking them up to stress or a rough patch. Then, the late-night texts began. I noticed them when she thought I wasn't watching. Her phone, once casually placed on the table, now never left her side. She smiled at her screen in a way she hadn't smiled at me in months. If I asked who messaged, she would shrug, muttering something vague. Suspicion gnawed at my mind, but doubt held me back. I wanted to trust her. I needed to believe she was faithful. One evening, Amanda walked in past midnight, her makeup slightly smudged, her dress wrinkled. She had said she was meeting Sarah, her best friend, for dinner. But Sarah had accidentally texted me earlier, mentioning she was out of town for a business trip. My chest tightened. "How was dinner?" I asked, testing her. She barely glanced at me, slipping off her heels. "Fine. Nothing special." I clenched my jaw. Sarah must have had a great time. Amanda froze for a fraction of a second. Her hesitation was small, almost unnoticeable, but I caught it. "Oh yeah, she did," she lied. A lump formed in my throat. She didn't know that I knew. That night, I lay beside her, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. Had our marriage become a lie? I had to find out the truth. The following weekend, Amanda told me she had an important office project and would be working late. I pretended to believe her, kissed her goodbye, and watched her leave. The moment she was out of sight, I followed. Heart pounding, I kept my distance, tailing her car through the city. Street lights blurred past as she took a route far from her office. When she finally parked outside an upscale bar, I pulled into a shadowed corner, gripping the wheel. She stepped out of her car, adjusting her tight black dress. A man approached, a tall, well-dressed stranger with an air of confidence. He greeted her with a kiss on the cheek, his hand resting too comfortably on her waist. My stomach twisted. Amanda laughed, tilting her head in that flirtatious way I knew too well. The way she used to laugh with me. Fury, betrayal, heartbreak, all clashed within me, forming a storm I barely contained. My wife was cheating. But I needed more than just a painful realization. I needed proof. The next few days, I played the role of the oblivious husband while secretly collecting evidence. Amanda continued her deceit, lying effortlessly, kissing me in the morning before running off to her secret rendezvous. I installed tracking software on her phone. Each lie she told crumbled under the weight of cold, undeniable facts. Her location history revealed hotel stays, expensive dinners, and intimate meetings at secluded spots. Photograph, call logs, secret withdrawals from our joint account. Every discovery twisted the knife deeper. Then came the breaking point. One night, after another so-called late meeting, she returned home wearing perfume I didn't recognize. Her hair slightly tousled, lips swollen as if kissed too hard. I clenched my fists, forcing calmness. "How was work?" She yawned, stretching. "Exhausting. I need a shower." The moment she stepped into the bathroom, I grabbed her phone from the nightstand. My heart hammered as I opened her messages. The latest one read, "Tonight was incredible. I can't wait to see you again. Same time next week." Sent just an hour ago. I barely noticed the phone slipping from my grip. Pain morphed into rage. I had all the proof I needed. But confrontation wasn't enough. She had torn our vows apart. Now I would make her pay. I spent the night lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling a mixture of rage, heartbreak, and cold determination. Amanda slept beside me, completely unaware of the storm brewing within me. I listened to her steady breathing, wondering how she could betray me so effortlessly. The message on her phone had confirmed everything. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a mistake. This was intentional, calculated, repeated. I had two choices: confront her immediately or gather more evidence to ensure she couldn't manipulate her way out of this. I chose the latter. The next morning, I woke up early, pretending everything was normal. Amanda kissed me absent-mindedly before heading to work. I watched her walk out the door, disgust twisting my stomach. The woman I had loved, the woman I had built a life with, was a stranger now. I needed to know who she was seeing. Pulling up the tracking software, I found a location history of her frequent visit. A boutique hotel on the other side of town. A place designed for discretion, the kind where affairs thrived in secrecy. My hands tightened into fists. I wasn't going to sit back and let this continue. I took the day off from work, parked outside the hotel, and waited. Hours passed. Nothing. Then, at exactly 7:30 p.m., Amanda's car pulled up. My breath hitched as she stepped out, dressed in a short, elegant dress. Her hair perfectly styled, lips painted red. She was trying to impress someone. And it wasn't me. A few minutes later, a sleek black Mercedes pulled in. A man stepped out, tall, well-dressed, radiating arrogance. He walked up to Amanda without hesitation and kissed her. Not just a peck. A full, deep kiss. My fingers dug into the steering wheel. I wanted to rip him apart. But no patience. I grabbed my phone and took photos. Proof. Undeniable, irrefutable evidence. Then, I followed them inside. The hotel lobby smelled of expensive cologne and polished marble. The receptionist barely looked up as Amanda and her lover walked toward the elevators. I kept my distance, watching the number above the elevator climb. 3rd floor. Once they disappeared, I approached the front desk. "Excuse me, my wife is staying here, but she forgot to text me the room number. Can you help me out?" The young woman glanced at me before checking the system. Name: Amanda Carter. She tapped a few keys. Room 312. I exhaled slowly. Thanking her, I took the stairs instead of the elevator, my blood boiling with each step. Outside room 312, muffled laughter and whispers confirmed my worst fears. I clenched my fists, debating my next move. Should I burst in now? Make a scene? Expose her? Then, something unexpected happened. Another voice, a second man, joined them inside. My stomach twisted. Amanda wasn't just cheating. She was involved in something much bigger than I had realized. I pulled out my phone and pressed record. Their conversation drifted through the door. "Mark, are you sure no one is onto us?" Amanda's voice, softer, anxious. "Relax, babe," a deep voice replied. "Everything's in place. By the time they realize the money's gone, we'll be long gone." My heart pounded. Money? What money? Amanda giggled. "I love how smart you are. My husband would never figure something like this out." Rage surged through me, but I forced myself to listen. "We move the funds tomorrow." "No loose ends," Mark said. A third voice, unfamiliar, spoke next. "The authorities are already sniffing around. If we get caught, it's over." A pause. Then Amanda's voice, sharp and cold. "If my husband finds out, I'll handle it." My breath hitched. Handle it? Were they talking about me? Adrenaline kicked in. My wife wasn't just cheating, she was wrapped up in something criminal. Something dangerous. And now, my life might be at risk. I backed away from the door, gripping my phone tightly. I had all the evidence I needed. This was no longer about infidelity. This was about survival. I had to take Amanda down before she took me down first. I left the hotel with my mind racing. Amanda wasn't just betraying me, she was part of something bigger, something criminal. The stolen money, her secret meetings, the way she dismissed me like I was nothing. I clenched my jaw, gripping the steering wheel as I drove home. I had two choices, run or fight back. And I wasn't the kind of man to run. The moment I got home, I locked the door behind me and went straight to my laptop. I backed up every piece of evidence I had: photos, texts, voice recordings. I made multiple copies, storing them on cloud drives and external devices. If anything happened to me, someone would find out the truth. Then I made my move. I sent an anonymous tip to the police, detailing everything: Amanda's frequent hotel visits, the stolen money, the conversation I had recorded. Now I just had to wait. The next day, Amanda acted like nothing had changed. She greeted me with a kiss on the cheek, humming as she made coffee. It was almost laughable how easily she could deceive. "Morning, babe," she said casually. "I might be late again tonight. Work's a mess." I forced a smile. "No worries. Just don't overwork yourself." If only she knew. That evening, Amanda left the house, completely unaware of what was about to unfold. I followed her at a safe distance, adrenaline pumping through my veins. She arrived at the same hotel, room 312. The same man, Mark, was waiting for her, and this time, I spotted another figure, someone I hadn't seen before. A third accomplice. I kept my distance, knowing what was coming next. Minutes passed. Then, flashing blue and red lights filled the parking lot. Cops swarmed the building. I watched as officers stormed through the entrance, moving with precision. My heart pounded as I imagined Amanda's face when they kicked down the door. The wait felt endless. Then, the moment I had been waiting for. Amanda was dragged out of the hotel in handcuffs, her perfect mask shattered. She thrashed, screaming at the officers. "You don't understand. This is a mistake." Mark and the other man were also restrained, looking equally stunned. I stepped forward, just close enough to catch her eyes. When she saw me standing there, calm, watching, her face twisted in realization. "You!" She lunged toward me, but the officers held her back. "You did this! You set me up!" I smirked, tilting my head. "You handled it yourself." Her expression crumbled. For the first time, Amanda knew she had lost. And I had won. Amanda's screams echoed through the parking lot as the officers pushed her into the back of a squad car. Her once perfectly styled hair was a mess, her expensive dress wrinkled and stained from her struggle. The look she gave me, pure hatred mixed with disbelief, only fueled my satisfaction. Mark and the other man were also being restrained, their faces twisted in shock. They hadn't expected this. They thought they were invincible, that they could play their games without consequences. But I made sure karma came knocking. I stayed just long enough to watch the police secure the crime scene. Officers swarmed the hotel, confiscating evidence, speaking to witnesses. I could already imagine the headlines. Fraud ring busted in luxury hotel, 3 arrested in sting operation. Turning on my heel, I walked away. I didn't need to see any more. Amanda was done. And I had my closure. The days that followed were strangely peaceful. For the first time in years, I slept soundly. No more lies, no more late-night texts, no more pretending not to notice the way my wife had slowly become a stranger. Her arrest made the news, though the reports kept names confidential. I didn't care about the details. I had already won. A few days later, a lawyer representing Amanda called me. "She wants to talk," he said, sounding reluctant. I chuckled. She should have thought of that before she cheated. Before she stole. "She says she was set up. That you framed her." That made me laugh. "Tell her I only exposed what she was already doing. The police don't arrest innocent people." The lawyer sighed. "She also wants a divorce settlement." That killed my amusement. "She's in jail and she still thinks she can take from me?" I asked, shaking my head. "She's claiming she's entitled to half of everything." I smirked. "Not when she committed fraud. Not when she cheated. Tell her she gets nothing." The lawyer hesitated before replying. "I figured you'd say that." I hung up. That was the last time I heard Amanda's name. Months passed. I rebuilt my life, one day at a time. The house no longer felt like a prison. I redecorated, removed every trace of her, made it my own again. I started going out, reconnecting with old friends, even meeting new people. The darkness Amanda had left behind slowly faded. One evening, as I walked along the beach, watching the sun dip into the horizon, I realized something. Amanda's betrayal had hurt me. But it hadn't broken me. I had won. And that was enough.